You ever think your quiet little neighborhood's the kind of place where nothing wild ever happens? Yeah, me too. I thought the worst I'd have to deal with on my block was another note taped to my trash can, maybe a neighbor griping about my grass being half an inch too tall. Turns out I was wrong. So wrong, my whole driveway turned into a parking lot for government sedans, and for one unforgettable afternoon, our HOA president learned the clipboard isn't a magic shield when real trouble shows up. Let me back up a sec. When I bought this house, nobody would have called it a showpiece. Just a skinny little place on Alder Ridge Lane, porch steps that creaked like arthritic knees, paint that had been through at least 2 bad decades, and this old sycamore out front, dropping leaves like it had a personal vendetta against autumn. Still, I loved it. It was mine. Quiet, cheap, and here's the kicker. It came with a newly run fiber line, fast as all get out, right through our alley. And for me, that wasn't just some perk. I worked from home as a systems analyst for a big aerospace contractor. Don't get excited. It's nothing out of the movies. Nos país, no mis gens. Just a lot of code, endless monitoring, making sure nothing that shouldn't blink ever blinks. Real edge-of-your-seat stuff, except, yeah, it pays the mortgage. The internet isn't a luxury for me. It's how I eat. So you bet I invested in it. Ran my own conduit, patched it all neat in the garage, labeled every inch like a librarian with trust issues, and shelled out for a modem that could handle a stampede. Thing is, if you didn't know what you were looking at, you'd never even notice the setup. Except somebody did. Her name wasn't Karen, but if the shoe fits. I'll call her Linda. She lived 3 doors down on the corner, always had those little flags in her yard. Swapped them out for every holiday, her grass looking like the cover of a landscaping magazine. And she had this way of filling up the whole street just by existing. Never yelling, but always making you feel like you just stepped out of line. Linda was our HOA president, and in this neighborhood, that meant she basically lived with a clipboard glued to her hand. She saw everything. Trash cans out too early? You'd hear about it. Fence post tilting? She'd document it. Wind chimes making noise after 8 p.m.? Lord help you. Linda's power move wasn't confrontation, it was paperwork. And smiling while she did it. One day, she spotted the little antenna up on my roof. Nothing flashy, just part of my network. But that was enough. That night, message comes through the neighborhood app. Friendly reminder, rooftop installations require HOA approval. I replied, polite, factual. Not visible from the street. Not a real installation. Not even new. She answered with a thumbs-up emoji that somehow felt like a threat. After that, she hovered, asking about cables she didn't understand, side-eyeing the utility guys when they came by. She even accused me, totally straight-faced, of putting up a satellite dish I didn't even own. Every encounter was all smiles, but underneath you could feel the tension, like she decided I was trouble just waiting to happen. Then came Monday morning. I get home for grabbing groceries, and instantly, something's off. No doorbell chime, no fridge hum, no phone syncing with the house. Router dead, modem dead, phone won't even load a page. First, I figure it was an outage. Happens, right? I head out back to check the junction box. Sky's clear, no storm. Everything looks normal until it doesn't. The line from the pole down to my ground box, gone. Not chewed, not frayed, cut. Clean as a surgeon, like whoever did it wanted to make sure nothing reconnected by accident. My stomach just dropped. I called the provider. They said the neighborhood was fine, no issues but mine. They'd sent a crew the next day and offered a hotspot that could barely load email. I hung up and stood there, staring at that severed cable like maybe to tell me who did it. That's when I heard her. Linda, standing on my porch, posture perfect, eyes sharp, hair pulled back so tight it looked like she'd ironed it. She glances at the cable, makes a little tisk noise. "You should really be careful how you run your wires," she says, all calm and collected. "It looks messy." I asked, "Did you cut my cable?" She smiles barely. "I wouldn't touch private property. I found it like that. Already reported it." Then she just walks away, leaving me standing there, trying to figure out if I was more mad or just shocked. You ever get that feeling when you realize someone crossed a line and they're just daring you to call them out? That's what it was. I didn't argue. I just started taking pictures, close-ups, wide shots, timestamps. Years of working with systems that have to be reviewed by strangers taught me. Document everything, because someday someone's going to care more about your evidence than your feelings. Posted a straight, factual note on the app. No blame, just that my service line had been cut, provider notified, repairs coming, tampering is serious business. Then I put my phone down because I knew once you light a fuse in that app, you don't control where the sparks land. Within minutes, comments roll in. Some neighbors angry on my behalf. Some making up wild theories about vandals. One guy offered me a generator like we were prepping for doomsday. Then there were the quiet ones, the folks who didn't say anything but viewed my post 3 for times, the ones who already knew Linda's reputation. 20 minutes later, Linda replies on the app. Already reported unsightly wiring has been a concern. Let's all stay calm. All polished and official, but so vague it almost wasn't English. I ignored it. Next morning, the provider shows up right after 8. Mark, the tech, mid-40s, sunburned neck, battered coffee mug. Takes one look at the cable and just whistles. That's clean. That's not a squirrel. That's a tool cut. He runs tests, takes his own pictures, then pauses longer than I expected. He asks what I do for work. I give him the broad strokes. Nothing classified, but just enough. He nods. That explains why this tripped upstream alarms. Upstream alarms? Turns out, my line wasn't just any line. It routes through a commercial exchange, priority traffic. When it went dark, it set off all sorts of alerts. Now I'm not just looking at a cut cable. I'm looking at something way, way bigger. Mark makes a couple calls, then his whole demeanor changes, more upright, serious. They're expediting the repair, he says, but there'll be questions. Before I can even ask what kind, here come the black sedans, 1, 2, 3, rolling up slow, parking in perfect formation. Out step the agents, suits, earpieces, the whole thing. Not aggressive, but you could tell they meant business. Neighbors start peeking out. Kids stop on their bikes. Linda stands at the edge of her driveway, clutching her clipboard like a shield. An agent asks for my ID. Another one's talking with Mark. Another's taking photos of the scene. Linda floats over, says, "I'm the HOA president. What's going on?" Agent smiles, asks if she's seen anything, if she's the one who reported it. She's quick, rehearsed, says she found the cut that morning, documented it, very concerned for everyone's safety. I'm watching her, and it's like watching a computer log that's been doctored, just a little too neat. The agent nods, then says, "Ma'am, because this was a critical communications line, we have to determine if this was accidental or intentional." Linda's face tightens. If it was intentional, there are federal statutes that apply. That's when I saw it, the flicker. Not fear, but recalculation. They asked me the usual, where I was, who has access, any disputes. I hand over my photos, logs, app history. Agent thanks me, says I did everything by the book. Meanwhile, the repair crew's still running tests. Every result says the same thing. This was no accident. Half an hour later, another car shows up, government plates this time. A uniformed guy comes over, shakes my hand, introduces himself. But honestly, my brain's so scrambled, I don't even catch his name. He says, "We're not here to alarm anyone, but when certain circuits go down, protocol kicks in." Linda isn't hovering anymore. She's retreated, arms crossed, clipboard dangling. And that's when Tom, quiet guy from across the alley, walks over, phone in hand. "I think I've got something," he says. Turns out his garage camera caught footage at 2:12 a.m., somebody pacing near the pole, bending down, then walking off. Video's grainy, but you can't miss the posture. The way she pulls her hair back, the clipboard under her arm. Linda. The agents ask her to step aside. Suddenly, her story starts shifting, Times get fuzzy, details don't add up, reasons for being out there at 2 a.m. keep changing. They're polite, but relentless. The cable gets bagged and tagged, statements taken. The whole block goes quiet, like we're all waiting to see what happens next. By noon, my internet's back, good as new, faster than before. The agents tell me to keep my logs, send any documentation from my work, and explain the possible outcomes. Fines, restitution, maybe criminal charges if it's proven intentional. Then, just like that, they're gone. Sedans pull away. The street breathes again. Linda just stands there, watching her authority dissolve like sugar in coffee. That evening, the neighborhood app's blowing up. Folks sharing screenshots, quoting Linda's own words back at her about community standards, about unsightly wiring. Some neighbors admit they'd seen her out late before, doing her compliance checks. A few try to defend her, say, no charges yet. Let's be fair, but the air's different. Her power's gone. People only believe in it as long as it works. 2 days later, the HOA calls an emergency meeting. Not the usual cookies and fence complaints deal, but a real one. Closed door, then open when word gets out. I wasn't going to go, but, well, curiosity wins sometimes. Linda sits at the head of the table, stiff as a board. Pile of papers in front of her, screenshots, reports, a letter about the federal inquiry. She starts, says she just wanted to enforce the rules, that standards matter, that she never meant for it to go so far. Skirts around the word cut, like it might bite her. When it's my turn, I don't yell. I just lay out what that connection means for my life, how it's not optional, how I tried to resolve things calmly, how trust matters. Someone asks Linda directly if she touched the cable. She doesn't answer right away, and in that pause, you could feel the room shift. The board votes, unanimous. She's removed as president, pending the investigation. No drama, no shouting, just this quiet, heavy sense that she'd gone too far. Later that night, I'm in my garage, plugging in the modem, listening to that sweet, steady hum as the systems fire up. Across the street, Linda stands there, just staring. For a second, I think about letting it go, but something in me needs closure. So I grab 2 coffees and walk over. Want to explain? I ask, holding out a cup. She looks at it like it might explode. I was just trying to keep order, she says, softer now. People don't realize how fast neighborhoods fall apart. Order isn't control, I tell her. And it sure isn't cutting someone's property. She doesn't argue, just looks down. They won't arrest me, will they? She whispers. I don't know. I say, honest. Not up to me. She nods, like she'd already guessed. The whole thing dragged on for months. No sirens, just interviews and paperwork. In the end, she got a letter, fines, restitution, a record. She quit the HOA, stopped posting. Some folks felt sorry for her. Others said she got off easy. The block loosened up after that. Less strict, more human. People talked again, laughed, let things go. As for me, my internet's never been better. Provider gave me a redundant line, flagged me as priority. Every time I see that little green light blinking, I remember how fast systems fall apart when one person decides the rules don't apply to them. Here's what stuck with me. Justice doesn't always show up with fanfare. Sometimes it's just a clipboard losing its magic. Sometimes it's a grainy camera at 2 a.m. or a neighborhood learning where the real lines are. So tell me, was Linda the villain? Or just someone who mistook control for responsibility? Did the system overreact? Where's the line between community and privacy? Anyway, I'm curious what you think. Drop a comment, share your own story. Because somewhere out there, somebody's staring a line they think they can cross, and maybe, just maybe, they need to hear this first.